or not? Or do you
Yes.
want to just?
We read it on, if it's necessary, I'm your interpreter tonight. If it's necessary, I can translate.
Okay, well,
If anybody question, just raise your hand and I'll translate.
Okay, so you just want me to go through my slides in English without translation, right?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Strand, and tonight we're going to talk about calcium and your health. I'm also going to be talking to you about magnesium and the RX products. So we'll just get started here tonight. And, you know, everybody feels like they should be taking some calcium supplements. But there's a lot of things you should know before you start or consider taking calcium supplements. What we have found is that China is the third largest market of nutritional supplements in the world, following the United States and Japan. Now, it's projected China will overtake the U.S. In being one of the largest markets in nutritional supplements over the next 10 years. So it's a major, major market in the world for nutritional supplements. But according to market statistics, China's health consumption of nutritional products and health products is around 120 billion US dollars. But one of the leading categories are calcium products. So I think tonight's talk is going to be very important for you personally, but also in sharing the beautiful, wonderful product called MagnaCal-D that RX has. So we know that calcium deficiencies, you know, lack of calcium or enough calcium is responsible for over 150 different degenerative diseases and conditions. You see a picture here. This is rickets, which is a calcium vitamin D deficiency. But we also need to know that there are conditions like thinning of the bone or osteoporosis, fractures. I showed you that picture of rickets. You can get bone spurs, arthritis, which causes calcium, all of these problems. If you don't have enough calcium and magnesium especially, you can experience muscle cramps. You can actually get kidney stones. The people with the lowest calcium levels actually have the highest incidence of kidney stones. You would think that would be different. But magnesium and calcium are very important in the control of high blood pressure, increased cholesterol levels. We even find that it's important to prevent cancer and skin problems like eczema. Now, many of my patients really enjoy magnesium with calcium if they have asthma or headaches, especially migraine headaches, and even sleeping poorly, insomnia, or reflux. We find calcium is critical. So we know that we want to be getting our calcium. There are nearly 180 different known uses for calcium, or where calcium is needed in the human body for different processes. So it strengthens our bones and our teeth. We know that it controls muscle contraction and relaxation and growth. We know that it regulates the heartbeat, especially the magnesium that I'll talk about. One of the first things physicians do when their patients are experiencing irregular heartbeats is to go ahead and put them on magnesium. We also know that our nerves, conduction of nerve pulses, it's very important to have calcium in our bodies. The other thing is it controls the transfer of nutrients in and out of the cell through cell membranes. And we also, it's very important in the formation of enzymes and hormones within the body. So it's very critical, and it's important to understand this, that we need to have optimal levels of calcium in our bodies. But as many Chinese are taking calcium, but also many of them are still suffering from calcium deficiency. In fact, we know now that over 70 million Chinese have thinning of the bone, or what we refer to as osteoporosis. And that was 8 years ago that these statistics were reported. So many Chinese people, as they get older, are getting thin bones, or they're just getting this thinning of the bones we call osteoporosis. We know that 37% of our children lack the adequate calcium intake, and almost 60% of our older adults. So it's a very significant problem in China. And it's very important to understand that most of us need to be taking calcium supplements. A survey that was done in nutrition and hygiene of China residents, conducted by China MOH, showed a lack of calcium intake in daily meals is still common during this 10-year period of time. So just from diet alone, the Chinese just do not seem to be getting enough calcium. But what we found in 2012, 2 studies came out of Europe that showed that individuals who took just calcium supplements alone, or did not take calcium supplements in balance, it could actually be dangerous to their health, because calcium would build up in your arteries instead of in your bones. This increased your risk of having a heart attack twofold. So calcium should not, even though it's important for supplementation, it should not be supplemented by itself or not in balance. And so RX, when they developed MagnaCal-D, Deanna Latson and I spent 18 months developing their product, looking at the worldwide medical literature, because we knew people needed to have calcium supplementation, but we wanted a product that was safe and that was effective. And so that's why it took us so long to bring MagnaCal-D to the marketplace, because we did not want to produce a product or have a product that would be dangerous to our health. We know we need it for helping our health. We do not want to make it worse. So what we have found is that the problem in the medical community, and this is really prevalent in the United States, and I'm sure it is somewhat in China, all the physicians in the medical community have just been encouraging people to take a supplement of just calcium. And calcium is still critical for healthy bones and healthy heart function. But like we said, if you take it alone or not in balance, it has the potential of actually increasing your risk of having heart attacks. So we wanted at RX to rewrite the definition of calcium supplements. And so I want to share with you tonight MagnaCal-D and how this was put together. And I'll go over each of these very carefully so you understand magnesium, how we put magnesium and calcium together, why vitamin D is so important, especially D3, and another vitamin called vitamin K2. And then, of course, you don't just need calcium and magnesium in these, you need trace minerals. And it's very important that we have trace minerals in our calcium magnesium product. Now, the first thing that we learned is that we need to be taking calcium and magnesium in a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, what does that mean? If you take 100 milligrams of calcium, you should also be taking 100 milligrams of magnesium with it. They work together. And this is the balance that the medical literature says is the safest. And so one of the principles that Deanna Latson and I used is we wanted this 1-to-1 ratio. Then we learned, well, 80% of patients in China are also deficient in magnesium, which increases your risk of osteoporosis, but also of heart attacks and rhythm problems with your heart. And so this is very important. And so what happens here is magnesium works with calcium. It activates vitamin D so you can absorb the calcium, and it activates it to its most potent form. Calcium needs to be balanced with magnesium again in a 1-to-1 ratio for safety and for best results. Magnesium is needed to build this new bone, just as important as calcium. Now, what are the health benefits of magnesium? Well, here's the critical one. For maintaining a proper electrical conduction or current in the heart. The heart has an actual electrical system. Yes, it's a muscle to pump the blood, and that muscle needs blood supply, which we call coronary arteries, but there's also an electrical system in our heart so that the heart beats in a coordinated fashion and very effectively. Well, one of the most critical nutrients for the electrical system is magnesium, and maintaining proper levels of magnesium. You can actually decrease the risk of sudden death, especially in women. And I use magnesium in my medical practice very much with my patients who are at risk of having a heart attack or who are having any rhythm problems of their heart. So it decreases the risk of heart attacks. It has other health benefits. It actually lowers blood pressure. It is nature's own calcium channel blocker. Some high blood pressure medications that people take are actually calcium channel blockers, we call it, that relax the muscle of the arteries. But magnesium actually acts as a natural calcium channel blocker and relaxes that. And over time, as your magnesium levels build up, I see in my patients, their blood pressure comes down to a healthy blood pressure. So magnesium has a lot of other functions, and especially in people who are having muscle cramps or leg cramps, restless leg syndrome at night, have trouble sleeping. I find that magnesium is an important, very important nutrient. Other health benefits, it improves asthma because it also relaxes those muscles in your lungs, the bronchial tubes, so that when, remember in asthma, you've got wheezing and these bronchial tubes collapse. And my patients that have any lung problems do very well with magnesium. It also helps alleviate migraine and tension headaches. This is a very important thing. If people have migraine headaches or muscle tension headaches, magnesium over time can significantly help that. And here again, it improves those muscle cramps and muscle spasm. But we also know in diabetes or in diabetic control, magnesium improves insulin sensitivity or the effectiveness of insulin. Now, in my pregnant gals, if you're pregnant, I always recommend Magna-Cal D because it decreases the risk of what we call preeclampsia in pregnancy. And this is very, very important. And so this is one of the nutrients that I always have my gals who are pregnant taking, along with at least the optimals or optimals and MOA. So it is very good. Now, what you have to understand is calcium, you cannot absorb it unless you have some vitamin D. You must have vitamin D on board to actually absorb any calcium you would take in a supplement. And vitamin D3 is the most potent vitamin D there is. So it is the most active form and it's the most potent. And of course, this is what we chose to use in Magna-Cal D. Vitamin D3 helps build up bone density. So not only do you absorb the calcium better, but it actually is utilized better in building bone if your vitamin D levels are adequate. Now, the body can't even absorb calcium without vitamin D. So you can take all the calcium in the world, and if you don't have adequate levels of vitamin D, it's very hard to absorb. You need vitamin D to absorb any calcium that you would take. It doesn't do any good to supplement calcium if your vitamin D levels are low. So my patients now who come in with osteoporosis, the first thing I check is a vitamin D blood level. And almost all, 80–90% are low. And if I have patients who have osteoporosis, I actually have them take 6 of the Magna-Cal D. Along with the optimals or optimals and MOA. That's something I've done for years. It gives them the best chance to stop the thinning of the bone. And in some cases, you'll see increase in your bone density. Now, other health benefits of vitamin D3 are the fact that cancer risk of all cancers are actually reduced by nearly 77%. Now, that is major. But vitamin D is a real boost to the immune system. There are studies out there that if you take adequate vitamin D, you have decreased risk of both type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. Actually, people who take vitamin D3 or vitamin D decrease their risk of developing multiple sclerosis or MS. And we also see improvement in rheumatoid arthritis and congestive heart failure as it decreases the risk of stroke. And vitamin D3 and vitamin D have been shown in the literature to really show significant health benefits. All of these benefits were shown in a New England Journal of Medicine study that was published July 7th, 2007. So all of these health benefits have been documented and presented in the New England Journal of Medicine. Now, here is the key that Deanna Latson and I found, that we must have also vitamin K2. There is a main reason, because it is like a traffic cop. Vitamin K2 is key in making sure that your calcium that you absorb from your supplements are deposited in the bone and not in your arteries. And vitamin K2 is the key nutrient that allows this to happen. This is what makes your calcium supplements safer, because when you look at it, the vitamin K2 will attract the calcium into bone, and then it will block the calcium from being absorbed by your arteries. But it's important to note that vitamin K1 does not accomplish this goal as well as vitamin K2. It might have some benefit, but nothing even close to vitamin K2. So when you look at your calcium and magnesium supplements, it's very, very important that they have vitamin K2. And so how does vitamin K2 work? Vitamin K2 activates a certain enzyme called osteocalcin in the bone to grab and hold on to calcium to help build stronger bones. It actually decreases fractures by 81%. Now, at the same time, vitamin K2 blocks the absorption of calcium into your arteries by stimulating a regulating protein in your arteries. Now, this is really key. Now, adequate vitamin K2 needs to be in your calcium magnesium supplement. And just to review, it is just like a traffic cop. It attracts the calcium into the bone where it's needed, but it blocks that calcium from going into your arteries where it's not. And so anybody who's taking a calcium magnesium product that doesn't have vitamin K2 may be at risk, at least potential risk, of actually increasing a problem or a health risk. Now, we told you it's also important to have all these different minerals that the bone needs. It's not just calcium and it's not just magnesium. We need what is called trace minerals, copper, zinc, all of the selenium, all of these other minerals. And our diet is depleted in almost all trace minerals, which is critical, not only for all the cells of the body, but especially our bone. So consumed in proper ratios, minerals and trace minerals have a profound supportive effect on human health. So this was a key part. So with magnesium, what we find in MagnaCal-D, we want it to be in a 1-to-1 ratio. So MagnaCal-D has the main ingredients. This is how we put it together after we learned all of this. First of all, we put everything in there. We put the calcium, 400 milligrams of calcium, and magnesium. I'll tell you about the kind because that's important. We put the inland sea trace minerals in. We have vitamin D3 and K2. We put in one of the most potent vitamin C's in the form of acerola cherry. And we actually added reishi and shiitake mushrooms, not only to boost our immune system, but also to help improve bone health. So this is what's in the main ingredients in our MagnaCal-D. Many companies will make you buy the vitamin D separately or the vitamin K2 separately. What RX has done is they put it all together. So you take just one of these capsules or 2 of these capsules twice a day. But we put 400 milligrams of calcium and 400 milligrams of magnesium. So that's your 1-to-1 ratio. But just as important as putting in the right ratio is you want a calcium that's highly absorbable and magnesium that's highly absorbable. Most companies don't do it, even if they do the 1-to-1 ratio. You need to have good absorbable dosage form of calcium and magnesium. So in RX MagnaCal-D, we put in calcium citrate, which is the most absorbed calcium, along with calcium malate. Now the magnesium, we use a magnesium amino acid chelate. So the magnesium is actually attached to amino acids. So when it's absorbed from the gut, the magnesium comes along. Then magnesium tauronate and magnesium glycinate are very highly absorbable magnesium. So it's very important to understand, yes, you want the 1-to-1 ratio. And in this case, but it has to be highly absorbable, because if you're taking a calcium carbonate in your product or magnesium oxide, these are very poorly absorbed, especially the older we get. And in fact, what you'll find is the fact that less than half of the calcium carbonate is absorbed, and the rest will go and cause kidney stones, arterial wall calcification. So it's a danger. So this is why it's important that you have these highly absorbable calciums. Now, when it comes to magnesium, we find that a lot of products contain magnesium oxide. Well, most studies show that less than 10% of the magnesium oxide will be absorbed. And the low magnesium levels will also create an imbalance, and it will increase your risk of heart disease. In fact, I've read studies that even only 4% of the magnesium from magnesium oxide is absorbed. So if you're taking inferior nutrients in your products, it can be as dangerous as not having the 1-to-1 ratio. So the vitamin D3, we put in actually 2,000 international units of vitamin D3, which is the most active form of vitamin D. This is a very good dose. Now, I want to point out that RX Optimals also have 2,000 international units of vitamin D. So most of my patients take the Optimals and get 2,000 IU of vitamin D, and then they take MagnaCal D and they're getting another 2,000 for a total of 4,000 IUs of vitamin D3. Now, this is critical, especially if you have any thinning of the bone called osteopenia, and especially if you have osteoporosis. So this is why RX, in fact, I don't know of any other company that has this good a level in regards to your vitamin D. But remember, if your calcium product doesn't have or just has very little vitamin D, you're not going to absorb the calcium. You need to get your vitamin D levels up. Now, we use the most potent form of vitamin K2, which is MK-7, and we put in 30 micrograms. This is actually derived from the Japanese dish natto, and it's a high quality of vitamin K2. And in my patients that have osteoporosis, I'm recommending 6 capsules of MagnaCal D daily in divided doses, like 3 in the morning, 3 at night. But I like to have them take it with food, because your vitamin K2, calcium, magnesium, all these nutrients are absorbed at a higher level. But if you're taking vitamin K1 in your product, it is not going to help you, and or not as much for sure. That is also called MK4. So you got to read the labels, and if any of your friends or family are taking this, these are things you need to know. Now, what makes MagnaCal D to be more perfect? It's natural ingredients. This is key. We use inland sea trace minerals. These are actually the highest quality of trace minerals that we can find. We put in a natural acerola cherry, which has a very potent vitamin C that also not only helps fight free radicals, but it's very important for bone health. Now, RX has put in shiitake and reishi mushrooms, and the Chinese understand the health benefits of these 2 mushrooms. And you're going to find this is a critical issue. And for people, especially in China, because of what I've shared before, 80% of the Chinese population are deficient in both calcium and magnesium. But you need these supporting nutrients, because there's a lot of health benefits to our immune system and bone health with shiitake and reishi mushrooms. So the source of our inland sea Minerals is the Great Salt Lake outside of Salt Lake City, where RX corporate is. And there's very few surviving inland seas, and one is right there, a mile away from the home office of RX. It has a rich abundance of trace minerals, and it has magnesium, selenium, boron, copper, zinc, lithium, all of these. And it's free of toxins and other contaminations. We make sure it's the purest form of trace minerals. Now, acerola cherry, again, is very high in vitamin C, and it's one of the most potent vitamin C's that we know of. It's a TAC of, it has, this is for oxidative stress, has a high number, 53. It does create higher bone mass, and it helps balance the development of new bone and reformation as it remodels old bone to new bone. So it is a very, very important product also in your Magna Cal D. So shiitake mushrooms have a high concentration of copper that is critical for bone production, as I shared. But they also have high concentrations of zinc, and which is critical for the enzymes that controls the development of normal bone. So this is a very important nutrient. Plus, it has other benefits, like I shared, in optimizing your immune system and other health benefits. Now, reishi mushrooms also helps maintain bone density, and it has the also added feature here of decreasing inflammation, and most of us have too much inflammation in our body, and it helps the joint pain. So this is a nice thing to have in your calcium magnesium product. So here's RX, Magna Cal D. It has the best calcium and magnesium ratio of 1:1. But the calcium and magnesium that's in Magna Cal D are highly absorbable, so that it's going to get into the bloodstream at these optimal balanced amounts. It has the most potent form of vitamin D and vitamin D3, which helps improve calcium absorption. And remember, the key nutrient that I talked to you about is vitamin K2, which is the traffic cop, which actually blocks calcium from going into the artery, but attracts it into the bone where it's needed. So in my mind, we have spent a lot of time developing this product, and it's the most advanced bone health formula on the market today. And when Deanna Latson and I developed this, one thing we told RX is many companies are going to copy or try to copy RX, but they don't put it together like we do. And companies have done that since this has come out. But it's a wonderful product. I use it and I add it to a lot of my patients who have heart trouble, who have osteoporosis, have asthma, muscle cramps, migraine headaches. I mean, it goes on and on. It's a wonderful nutrient, and it's a great thing. It strengthens bone and teeth. It supports your cellular health. It helps to smooth the pain of joint. It improves cardiovascular health. And so it's a wonderful product to be added. Now, who do I recommend to take Magna Cal D? Well, we know that people who need extra calcium intake are athletes, anybody in a weight loss program, if you suffer asthma, muscle spasms, poor sleep quality. We find that the elderly need it more than anything, because as we get older, we have more trouble absorbing calcium, especially the calcium carbonate that most of these products contain. And that's why having magnesium citrate is important. As you go through menopause, ladies, it's very, very important to protect your bone. Now, we know children need to take at least some, especially the 2 or 3 years before they go through puberty. Medical studies show they show that if these children are taking a magnesium and a calcium supplement, their bone density increases by over 8%, which they keep the rest of their life. So it's a critical time, the year or two before they go through puberty. Now, I mentioned I did OB for over 20 years, and I always wanted my patients at least on the RX Optimals and Magna-Cal D. Of course, I liked Omega Q also because of the essential fatty acids, the omega-3s, improve brain development. But the magnesium, as I mentioned earlier, decreases the risk of this end-stage pregnancy called preeclampsia, which is dangerous, and then to continue it as they nurse their baby in nursing mothers. So that's just an overview of some of how I use this and what's there. So Magna-Cal D, this is the key. And now what I'm going to do is, this is the end of my presentation. So what we can do is go ahead and ask if anybody has any questions or wants to answer or ask me anything. Hopefully that gave you a lot of information. You're still muted. You need to unmute yourself.
第三是把你的这个吸收的钙变成血液带到你的血液中间，然后 K2 呢会把你就是整合，然后补你的 bone density， 就是你的骨质疏松像海绵一样的那个，好像我们洗澡用的那个丝瓜布有那种空空的地方。第一那个 K2 就是把乖乖的把那些把它补起来，这样子。所以有没有问题 ？Doctor, is this safe for who pregnant?
Yes, I mean optimals and 4 Magna-Cal D for pregnancy. The only time I go to 6 is if someone has osteoporosis. So just what the bottle says. I just do the optimals and Magna-Cal D. And if they can afford it, I like Omega Q too. But at least the optimals and Magna-Cal D.
有没有想要问问题 ？Go ahead. Okay, Thomas have a question, Doctor.
Yes, hello, Doctor. I was always taught that not to take the copper at the same time that you take the zinc. I don't know what the reason is for that. Now I see that you have it in that one pill together, the two of them. So I guess then I was misinformed, huh?
Yes, and that came out there. It's all about balance. And some people take too much copper or that, and it can decrease the effectiveness or absorption of other minerals, not just copper and zinc, but others. And so this has all been worked out, and that's something that they've done for us. Even in the mineral capsules, this has been worked out. So it's balanced so we don't run into that problem. And you've got to take them together just because you got to take them. Otherwise, people don't get them in. And so they have worked this out to be balanced. And so if one is way out of balance, it can affect the absorption of the other. But when balanced, it's not a problem, which is the way we put RX together.
Okay. Thank you.
他问这个铜和锌，说在一起服用的话，是不是会造成很多的危险？医生说，里面这种剂量的话，这种微量元素很小，在我们这个钙里面都含有。那么你自己不要随便去搭配，这样子非常危险。他们男生用锌是因为他们可能有一点射护腺的问题，所以就会用到锌。所以微量元素在我们身体里面也是有很大的功效。请问有哪位有问题吗 ？OK， 英国字，请问。
我想问一下，这个钙片儿，它是能连续，就是说1年4季一直吃啊，还是就是说吃断断续续的停一下？
You want to know, doctors, you want to know if we can constantly take a calcium the whole year, or we have to stop a little bit sometimes, you know.
No, it's best to take it all the time if you need it. The reason is it's just like anything. You need a constant supply. You need to keep levels up, and it takes, for example, magnesium. When I deal with my patients and I'm checking, it takes me about 6 months to build up the magnesium to its optimal level. So I don't want them to quit once I get them up there. And because it's balanced, it is safe to take all the time. It is not a problem. And so we've tried to eliminate it, and that's, so I recommend taking it all the time.
你可以一直服用没有问题，因为我们这个钙的作用是补助我们心脏、肌肉还有神经的正常工作，所以这个是在6个月以后，你就会看到镁对你 magnesium 镁对你身体起的功效，对于你的肌肉还有神经的收缩，都有很大的帮助。
Okay, thank you so much.
还有谁有问问题的吗
Okay, yeah. Hi, yeah, thank you, Dr. Istria. Thank you so much for tonight's lesson. Okay. I have a question. Yeah, first, how old the children can take it? Yeah, you think?
The nice thing about RX Magna-Cal D is that they're in capsules. And when they start to get, I mean, we're going to come out with a children's, which has, you know, in China has some magnesium calcium. Once they get to about 6 or 8 years old, they could take one calcium pill. And once they get to 12 or 13, I like them to maybe consider taking 2, especially during that time, from about 12 to 16 years of age. And then, but it depends a little bit, May, on how big they are. You know, the Chinese children are a little smaller. I mean, you could literally take a half a capsule if you wanted to, but you can pour it in a drink, like, you know, a Pure Nourish or a juice or something. If they can swallow capsules, that's great. Some can't swallow pills. So, but the nice thing I do in my practice is I have them open it up and put it in, actually put it in like a Pure Nourish or some fruit juice or something like that. You can take them, children's vitamins, which we recommend at least at 2 years of age. But once they get to about 6 or 8, you know, you may want to consider adding a little bit additional Magna-Cal D. Okay?
Okay, thank you. By the way, how many pills yeah, do you suggest to use per day? How many pills is
I'm recommending from about the age of 6 to 10 or 11, just one Magna-Cal D. If they're real small at 6 years of age or 7 or 8, maybe a half a capsule. But once they get to about 12 or 13 years of age and are getting up to 80, 90 pounds, then I go to 2 capsules through. That's a critical time, as I mentioned. I'll say it's very important for those children that are just in puberty, just before, to be on calcium magnesium, because their bone density has been shown to actually increase from a normal person not taking by 8 to 10%. That's a major thing in developing good, healthy bones and dense bones that they carry the rest of their life. So I like it at that time.
Okay, now for adults, how many pills per day?
What's on the bottle? I like 4 daily, 2 twice daily with food. So for an adult, I would have you take 4. And you know, it's we're going to get some calcium in our diet. You know, in the United States, we average 800 milligrams of calcium just in our So
Yes.
you don't have to take that much, even though, taking 4 Magna-Cal D with your optimals gives you that gives you a very good level of calcium, especially the highly absorbable calcium that's in all of these. Okay.
Okay, so do you think the maximum the pills to take per day? What's the maximum the pills?
You wouldn't want to know, man, how many I take. You get a little pill fatigue.
Yeah, because I feel this is the calcium a little bit lower. It's only 100 milligram, all right? And
right.
Yeah, so if they take 4 pills, only 400 milligram. I feel it's a little bit lower. Is that right?
No, it's not, because the higher calcium intake was dangerous. Okay. They were.
Yeah, but usually we should take 800, but this is only 400. So you don't think it's too low?
You missed. There were 2 studies that came out. Because we're getting so much calcium in our diet, and it happens in China too, we don't need it much. And when you take too much, unless then it can be dangerous. So, we used to do that in other companies, but that wasn't the right amount. In fact, most companies are backing off because the medical literature is showing that's what we need. Now, if I have someone with thinning of the bones, I will push it a bit to 6. But those people, they want to try to build their bones naturally. And but it's not too low, May. It's the right amount. I have a lot of patients who've done wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, right now I take the 3 pills per time and twice a day. Is that too much, do you think?
No, not if you have if you have anybody that's menopausal, beyond their menopause, I think that's very adequate. Now, once a child gets to be 17, 18 till they go through menopause, or as men get into their 40s or 50s, Magna-Cal D may not be necessary. But if you have asthma, you have muscle cramps, you have restless leg syndrome, you have, let's say, constipation, you've got, any of those things, then it's a very nice product in any adult. So, it depends why you're taking it, but no, that's not too much. And that's what I do with many of my patients. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Yeah, my question is finished.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, to sharing the product for us. So I have a question, and I need Peggy 姐姐给我翻译哈。他们有问到一个，就是有的人他们说，他们本身属于是高血钙的人，这样的人可以用我们的产品吗？用我们的钙镁吗？
高血钙呀、
对，他们就说他们的钙已经很多了，就是我们可以用吗
？Jack's question is about our the calcium in the blood too high.
Excuse me? The calcium in the what?
Calcium in the blood too high.
In the blood is too high?
Yeah.
Well, no, the body controls calcium. If you get a blood test and it's too high, you worry about, I don't worry about getting one test that shows calcium a little too high. I always would repeat it in my patients in about a month. If I had 2 blood levels are too high, you worry about the growth in a tumor. It's called the parathyroid gland. Many times you'll get a benign growth in the parathyroid gland. The parathyroid glands control calcium and phosphorus. It controls it. So when it gets up too high, that's not because you're taking too much calcium. It can be the result of having these little benign growths in your parathyroid gland. And we run, there's a simple blood test, it's called the parathyroid hormone. And I always do that because, you know, when we run all these blood tests, sometimes one is a little high, one's a little low. You're doing 20, 30 tests at a time. But I never worry about the first time I see it, but then I always repeat it. And so if you have someone, just have them repeat it. If it's up, then we need to do a parathyroid hormone. And, you know, and Jack, I'll send you the name of that so you know what it is, and I'll just text it to you, okay?
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
So you know what to tell them. And if that is elevated, then you know they've got to have a problem. But that's a blood test. And so the calcium normally in the blood shouldn't be high at any time or too low. The body absorbs it, and that's the trouble. It'll grab it from bone and different areas if you don't have enough. And that's the problem. But so if it's got elevated calcium, you check it again, and if it's still up, then the doctor needs to check that, because that would be abnormal. Okay?
Thank you. I got it.
Okay. Hey, there you go.
Thank you.
Technology's great, Jack, isn't it? Well, Jack, I'm telling you, I think I was looking at the calendar, and I think that you talked to your team, but it looks like the 25th of October would be the time I would set for our next meeting, because you know, that would be the last Friday in October. So try to look at that and see if that works out. And I'd probably try to do another general talk that is translated. I'm trying to pick talks, Jack, that have the Chinese translation so people can read it on my screen.
Yeah,
and,
that's good.
And make
Maybe you can download from Google Translate.
Yeah,
Google Translate, they have a language translate in different languages, Spanish to English or Chinese.
Yeah. So we can do that. But anyway, you look at that. We can decide that later. But I thought I'd just tell, since I had you.
Yes, that's the next meeting is October 25th. Yes.
Okay. Does that work for you?
Yes. 10月25号是下一个。
And I'll get it down on mine. Okay.
OK。那么请问还有人有问题吗？你还有3分钟，赶快啊！
3分钟。好，如果没有，黄梅老师还有吗？
黄梅老师还在吗？
还在，没有了，我没有了，谢谢。Thank you so much, Dr. Chen. Yeah.
OK， 如果
we are real appreciate you.
Yes.
That's good.
Appreciate.
Hopefully we keep growing and learning more, but I'm here to educate you, and recording these, Jack, is a good idea, because then people who can't make it, or we'll get more people in China, we'll keep trying to do it. Okay?
OK， 最后没有的话，那个台湾的 Ricky 还有 Stella 他们的团队想跟医生就是认识一下。那个 Peggy 姐姐，你帮助介绍。
Okay, I want to introduce the team, Eric's team in Taiwan.
Taiwan.
They want to say hello to you.
Okay.
Who's this? What's the name?
你们可以打开那个镜头，好吗
？Hello, Dr. Ray.
Ricky.
Hello.
How are you doing all the way there in Taiwan?
And Stella.
Good.
Oh, hello.
Okay, Dr. Ray, this is Stella, and I want to introduce Stella to you because she's so excellent. When I come back to Taiwan, and she is really, she's really a great our product, and she's really excellent. So she used her resource to push the market of Taiwan.
Okay,
yeah, she really loved the product. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, We're all
Stella,
Floridian.
say hello. Yeah. She's Stella.
Okay. Stella, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
There's another girl, Lucy. Hi, Lucy. Haven't seen you for a little bit, for a while. Yeah, Stella. And what's your name? Xueru? Lu? On my left hand side, on my left hand side, the second.
And another friend.
Are you Taiwan? Are you team from Taiwan too? I'm from Taiwan too.
There's another. Yeah, there is another one. The name is Liu Yijing. Do you see the camera? Yijing. Yeah. Just say hello to the doctor. Yeah. He says maybe.
刘一静是男生啊。
Yeah. 台湾的，他也是台湾的。
Another guy here with the glasses, reading glasses. We have a couple people. Yeah, almost.
反正现在台湾的队伍越来越壮大。
他现在对。
Dr. Strand, this is the Jack's team, and expand, go to the Taiwan. So the Ricky, do you remember Ricky?
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Strand?
Well, we got to talk.
Yeah, this is
I remember Ricky.
So like I said, I think you met him.
Absolutely. So we look forward to it, and we're looking forward to March, the World Reunion. Okay, Ricky, we'll see you there, hopefully.
Very good.
Okay, guys.
All Jack's downline.
So, well, you guys take care, and I'll see you in about a month, okay?
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
so much. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so I'll see you next month.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
you. Have a nice night.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Strand. Please say hello to Liz.
Oh, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello to
Have a nice night. Bye.
Lisa.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
Ricky， 你这边没什么事了吗？还是
黄明老师，我们留个几分钟好吗？跟
可以的。
Ricky 的新朋友我们认识一下。
好的。
我们熟悉的人就是。
我要先外出了，那我就先离开了。
好的，你先离开可以，没问题，随时来我们的群里面联系哈。刚才
they want to meet you.
好，谢谢 Stella， 谢谢 Stella，Thank you， 辛苦了。
好，我们就留一点时间 ，Ricky 来介绍一下我们的新的。
Ricky 很像台湾，他是小的台湾那个立法委员江启臣。
不是，
我很喜欢江启臣啊，很帅啊，很棒。
今天正式认识 Peggy 姐姐了，在我们这边。
Hello。
对，那个副理，这个 Peggy 姐姐也是台湾人，对。然后 Stella 姐姐，对 ，Stella 姐姐这个也是对，就是认识一下，对。
好，你好，很高兴认识你们。
你好。
你好，刘先生你好。
你好，叫我的英文名字叫做
Ivan。OK。
对
，Ivan。OK。
很高兴认识你们。刚刚真的是不太好意思，因为刚刚早上跟家人一起吃个早餐，然后结果没想到忘记关了麦克风，造成你们的困扰。
没关系。
我之前看到你，我以为你是马来西亚来的。
好的。应该不像了。
不像哈，开口就到台湾。
Ivan 也是在桃园的吗？
对，也是在桃园，在跟我同一间公司。
太好了，那下次我们可以到桃园来见见你们所有的朋友了。
最起码
可以，欢迎。
王明老师，
不理这些
对，就看到了桃园。
这一些都是住在纽约的，对，纽约的超级精英们，对。
好，很高兴认识你们，希望有机会到纽约跟你们碰头。
对，欢迎。
我们这几位呢，我来介绍一下哈。我们这个 team 刚才那个Dr. Strand 斯全德医生呢，是黄梅老师的亲自的推荐人，就是他的直接的上线。那黄老师是我的直接的上线推荐人，然后我是 Ricky 的，然后 我们的 Peggy 姐姐呢，也是我们美国团队1号这边的，她曾经是我们的贺宝福的这个7年的讲师哈。那跟黄梅老师这边呢，我们也认识10年了吧，黄梅老师？
对，差不多
对
08年哈，
对，
零几年。
从另外一个平台，我们就一直到现在，一直是在一个 team 里面。对，那个
好，谢谢你们，谢谢你们。
黄梅老师也是在美国20几年的直销这个行业的人，然后也上过美国的成功杂志，被报道过。然后呢，他是浙大的数学教授，移民美国之前，蔡老师，
浙江大学，
对，蔡老师呢，他现在在中国，基本上十年都在中国做这个大产业健康联盟的这个首席科学家，也同时在进行我们这个 ARICS 这个业务，所以说呢，基本上我们在纽约。还有在中国，我们从开发市场的话，台湾都可以借到我们这2个国家的这个力哈，基本上是没有问题的。首先我决定3月份的话呢，就会去台湾，去帮你们，希望我们尽快的可以握手合作哈。黄梅老师也说差不多，可能
对，没有问题。
对，
如果要是这一次我回中国的时候，你们那边的形势大好的话，也不排除我们抽出几天的时间到台湾来晃晃啊。
对啊，现在就是
到台湾来跟你们站台。
然后
OK 嘛
，OK。
然后那个 Peggy 老师我们也约好了，可能一起回台湾。
我1月会去投票。我1月要回去投票。
1月回去啊？
哦，你确定要回来投票 ？OK。
不错，太好了。
我的朋友全部回去投票，现在要买机票都买不到了。现在的机票如果要去台湾的话，经过上海或者是要经过日本，
转机
差不多转机起码30几个小时，没有直飞的了，全部卖光光了。8月底就卖光光了，现在要回台湾很辛苦。
对啊，这投票的关系。不过就是我还会再跟就是我们的副理介绍一下，就是 Eric 这样子。然后希望有机会的话，就是说 Stella 这个团队，他如果说跟着目前现在的资源，就是跟着。目前现在是期望是在全台湾所有的卫生所嘛，对，所以就大家一起努力在这一块，对，
好，
对，
非常好，
很棒，加油！
好，谢谢喽，那就不打扰，
谢谢大家。
好的，行，好，谢谢，拜拜。
拜拜。
好的，这边还有些什么事儿吗？
暂时没有了，黄梅老师，谢谢你的参与。
行，那我们就对，我们就下来那个哈，我主要是要跟你商量一下，就是那个题目的这个事。